What's the motherfucking deal, Sauce Nation? I want to say welcome to another Sunday's episode of the pregame show. I'm sure that the enthusiasm is noticeably less. We toughing through it. We toughing through it, man. But before we get into all that, welcome to Sauce Sports. If you're not familiar with Sauce Sports is a Houston, Texas homer network, not Texans. Texas meaning all sports, only Houston. And with that being said, we'll see we have joining us this evening, or not this evening. I'm so used to saying the evening because I'm so used to doing this shit at night. I got that shit bad. This morning in the round table, who we got joining us today? I think I got a little mute action going.
You got your boy Wise with Wise Sports.
Already. Shout out to Wise. And if you like what Wise talking about today, man, make sure you hit that description link below. It's a link to the channel. Boy, we're putting in big work, so make sure you show some love. You know, talking all sports also around the Houston area, holding it down, like POP. So, man, mainly, like I say, before we get into talking about this Texans versus Colts matchup today, we have to talk about the most important thing happening in this city right now, okay? And if you're not familiar with what that is you, the motherfucking freshest ingredients. And if you're like, what the fuck is the fresh ingredients? That means just look, all you got to do is take part in this Sauce Nation roll call. I mean, shout out where you're from. If you're from the greater Houston area, shout out your side with pride so we can show you a little bit of local love. But if you are not from the greater Houston area, then, let us know where you at. Make sure to send that digital love wherever you may be. And let me get the do-rag off me. That's not working. Wherever you may be. And then, like I say, we're going to shout you out, show a little bit of love for getting in here early and fucking with the flavor, man. So here is the motherfucking deal. All right. We got J-Pack, Jason Ducey, Miss Voodoo C, Dark Galaxy. He's the biggest fan. He just wants to be a member of Sauce Nation so bad. You know what I'm saying? He just wants to be one of us so badly. DeMarcus, what's the motherfucking deal? Balin, Real Swift, Quincy Jones, Tito, what's the motherfucking deal? Clutch Gaming, El Guapo, Balin, still waiting for greatness. Dayon Crumbly. Let's not use that line anymore, please. That line has been beat to death before Cootie ever even got on the field. No more do you love me. Kenneth, H-Town's biggest simp. Let's see. Voodoo Child, one half of the world famous moderating voodoos. Mal Miles, what's the motherfucking deal? Let's see. Jamal Benson, let me see. B. Shell, what's the motherfucking deal? Frank, what's the motherfucking deal? Let me make sure. Devontae, what's the motherfucking deal? Always good to see you. Nady Dog, what's the motherfucking deal? Let's see. Chris Bennett, what's the motherfucking deal? Epic Man, what's the motherfucking deal? Anthony Washington, let's see. And I think that you don't get an extra shout out, Kenneth. You know what I'm saying? You don't get no extra shout out. But here's the deal. Hey, I know you're a fan, Dark. So keep them stats coming for me. It makes me look good for the team, so I appreciate it. Terod, what's the motherfucking deal? But here's the deal, man. Okay, this is stop slipping on Gatorade bottles. Y'all doing my man bad. You know what I'm saying? He got that footwork. He ain't slipping on no Gatorade. So here's the deal, man. We're finna get into a couple of things, man. We're gonna dive right in it. We're gonna discuss what's shaking in the city. We're gonna talk about what's happening around town, and not even really around town in Indy. This is out of 4 games, 3rd game on the road for the Texans. This is a young unit, a young team. A lackluster performance so far this year. I mean, we have failed to put a 1 or any kind of number in the fucking win column at this point. And I think the people are getting restless. People are calling for Bill O'Brien's job. They've been calling for his job after like week 1, which is crazy. But you got to get him out a couple of weeks to prove that he has not been holding it down. But again, there's some things I want to talk about. And I put, of course, I've been the biggest supporter of B.O.B. But there's some things that I had to say. It's a point where it's not even the play calling in my book. It's more of the leadership, the management of this team, because, the disciplinary issues on the field are a big problem to me. These are the things that stand out the most, because play calling is one thing, but execution is another. And the biggest problem that we've had, honestly, it's not play calling. It's easy to say that. It's easy to say, oh, we shouldn't have ran this, ran that. But with those late game plays, but we wouldn't be in those situations had the execution been better early in the game. It's time. We're sick of this slow first half. Okay, we'll figure it out at halftime. We get everything going in the second half, but it's a little too late. Again, the old day late, dollar short. And my thing about that is, how do you fix that? And again, that's responsibility on the head coach, getting things in order, getting things in line. And again, it's part of that culture with the Texans. Because if you look at it, we talked about it last week, of the about 10 drives they had, 7 of them, there was an offensive line penalty. Either a holding, either a false start, some type of stupid-ass penalty which puts you in a deeper hole. And so, you got a couple of plays in your playbook to try to dig yourself out of a hole, on the first and long, second and long, things like that. But when you are doing that on 70% of your drives, it's completely unacceptable. You're not only playing against the team in a different color jersey, you're playing against the guys in the same color jersey. Like, you have to prevent them from doing whatever it is. Then we talk about execution as far as these linemen protecting Deshaun Watson. I mean, there's a litany of problems that this team is having. But we'll ask Wise, man, what do you see as far as execution-wise on this team? What has been the biggest hindrance for the Texans trying to secure the W when it comes to execution?
Just being disciplined. I mean, like I've been saying, we've been leading the league in penalties. You can't lead the league in penalties and expect to win games, man. You can't be jumping off sides. You can't start a drive, get a positive play, and get to 2nd and 2, and then have a 10-yard penalty right after that. That's just pushing you back. That's pushing your opportunities to score back. And we know this offense needs every opportunity to score, and we need to put points up early because, I mean, starting off late, that gives the other team the opportunity to start off red hot, keep scoring, keep going with that momentum, and then it leaves us at the end of the game, keep trying with Deshaun Watson trying to win the game, and have over the past 2 years we haven't even seen him win a game in that situation. So, I mean, the Texans just have to be disciplined today. They got to do their jobs. They can't worry about all the dudes missing on the Colts today. They just need to come out here and stick to their responsibilities and play great. I mean, forget all the outside noise. I mean, you just got to – I think guys are getting too worried about what guys are saying in the media because they're talking about their childhood and things like that. Stop worrying about all that stuff, man. Just worry about football. Worry about doing your job. You know you're getting paid today, so go out here and win because if you start off 0-4, you're definitely not making the playoffs.
Very valid point. Because, I mean, 0-4, 0-2 is one thing. 0-3 is a completely different thing. 0-4, you might as well put a wrap around that because it's done, son. It's just it isn't what it is. Again, though, like you said, putting Deshaun in these tough situations. Never had. I think these last couple of weeks he's had several attempts at game-winning drives. But again, penalties, play calling, a lot of these factors all come into it. The lack of protection is a big problem, a huge problem, honestly. The Texans, as we switch subjects here. The Texans went and signed a guy. I didn't even look his name up. I'm not even concerned. Because irrelevant. Apparently he's legally blind in one of the eyes, right eye or left. I don't know which one it is. And I hope he's not trying to protect the blind side when you're legally blind. But that's a corny joke. But hey, I'll take it. Whatever. But my thing is this, man. The Texans are being extremely cheap. Brian Game being extremely cheap. There's moves out there to be made that could solidify this team. I mean, there's guys with experience. There's veteran guys. There's guys that I'm sure teams would be willing to trade if you offer up the right assets that are not, favoring the Texans right now. We want to talk about one of those assets being a Jadeveon Clowney. I have a question here, and here first I'm going to kind of put my thoughts out there, and then I'm going to ask why is this question. Jadeveon has not really produced this year. He missed a game, so he's missed a third of the games that we played this season. And, of course, you can make stats look like anything. We've only played 3 games, but he's missed a third of the games that they've played, and, it makes it sound way worse. But even in that game, he got that penalty that extended that drive that led to, the defense being on the field a little bit longer, allowing the Titans to get the score. And so my deal is this. At this point, I'd almost say it's been more damage than benefit. I want to say, was it last week? He had a play where he did, get the tackle on, I want to say it was Saquon, but he got drug a few yards. It wasn't looking like that dominant force that Clowney's been, because usually Clowney appears to be a man amongst men. Usually it's like you see Clowney on the field standing head and shoulders above everyone else, making big plays, making those splash plays. He's came out this week and said, I've been ready. I've been good to go since, day one. But, we've talked about rust. We've talked about a lot of these other things. But if you were ready and they just decided to take it light with you, I mean, what's the difference between we've seen JJ kind of come and jump on the scene. It took him a couple of games, but when he came, he definitely made some noise. What's the deal with Jadeveon? And if he doesn't produce today, you know, I think we have until October 30th or so, would you entertain putting Jadeveon Clowney on the trading block? And even though the play has kind of been abysmal, do you think that you could get a valid offer for him? What do you think about that one, Wise?
Yeah, you can get a valid offer for him. I see the Seattle Seahawks asking for 2 second-round picks for Earl Thomas. I seen the Pittsburgh Steelers reported today they want a second-round pick and a good player for Le'Veon Bell, and Le'Veon Bell hasn't even played this season yet, and this guy wants a long-term contract, so that's a similar situation to Clowney. And Le'Veon has had off-the-field issues. He has had injuries, so I mean that's a player you can compare Jadeveon Clowney to when it comes to the trade market. We know Clowney had 9.5 sacks last year. He was leading the league in tackles for a loss, so they can put that on his resume and probably ask for a second-round pick and maybe a left tackle or right tackle. I mean, if the Steelers can get that for Le'Veon Bell and he not even playing, then I don't see why the Texans can't get at least that. But after going back and watching some film from the last couple of games, it's one thing I have noticed. Jadeveon Clowney is going against these left tackles, even though we haven't played any strong left tackles as of yet. The left tackle is usually the best tackle on the team. He protects the blind side. And the Colts are missing Anthony Costanzo this game, and that's their great left tackle, the best offensive lineman they have so far. So I expect Jadeveon Clowney to try to get a sack this game, but if he doesn't show up today, man, I don't know. I can't even support this man anymore. I can't even put my name on his name anymore. I'm saying Jadeveon Clowney is one of the best outside linebackers in the league, but he needs to be at defensive end. But he got to put up a show up because this guy's been talking all this week in the media. He's blaming it on the coaches and stuff now. But once you get to that point, it's on you, big dog. You got to go out there and put up the production.
I definitely agree. What you got to do is you got to look at something, and you know, we can talk about preseason, we can talk about all that other stuff, but I mean, at this point, you've had plenty of time to knock the rust off. We're a month into the season, and if you're out there talking and you barking, you're saying, "Hey, I've been good," especially when you make a statement like that, then you gotta put up. I mean, that's the only option you have. Another thing, you know, we've seen the young guy Duke. You know, I'm confused as to why he's not being utilized. We're talking about outside linebackers. We've shown that in the little amount of time that he's got, you know, to play, that he's been a force. We saw it in preseason. I don't know why the Texans refuse to believe what they see with their own eyes, what we've seen with our own eyes, and not give this guy more playing time, because obviously he can do a little something. He can show that he can wreak a little havoc. I'm confused as to why they're not doing that. And again, I don't know if that's a BOB thing. I think that I would like to believe that, you know, Bill O'Brien believes in Cornell, and he's going to let him make his choices on that defensive side of the ball. And so what I'm thinking is, what's going on? What is it? I mean, we've seen his pass rushing ability. Maybe he's not the same force that Clowney could be in the run game. I'm not sure. But why do you feel like Duke is not getting the love, and should he see more time this game, in your opinion? What do you think about that one, Wise?
Yeah, I believe he deserves more playing time. Other than J.J. Watt, he has the best natural pass rushing moves on this team. I mean, if you go and watch the film, this guy knows how to move his hands. He knows he has a great rip move. He has a great bull rush. This guy just has great technique. So this is a guy I would like to see more on the field this week. And the reason why I don't think he's seeing the field is because of Bill O'Brien. I don't know if this guy actually pays attention to his players. I mean, it's kind of blasphemous that Vincent Smith was on his active roster for the first 3 weeks. Thank God he isn't this week. And this goes for the same thing for Eric Reed. I have seen Eric Reed on the field, but I would like to see Eric Reed more on the field. I mean, we seen what he can do in the first game, but in that second and third game, I didn't see too much of Eric Reed. I think he only got like 20% of the snaps when you go back and look at the numbers. But I mean, when you see a guy like Zach Cunningham struggling in coverage, and you got an Eric Reed that's shown that he can hold Gronkowski and show that he can maybe hold the wide receiver in coverage, then why I don't understand why you don't give these guys more playing time. And we seen that this guy Duke had 2 pressures against the Tennessee Titans. He had a sack, and then he almost had another one, but Blaine Gabbert was able to throw the ball away. So I don't know what this guy's doing. I don't know if he's just trying to basically cope to guys that already got their starting roles and not trying to make a whole locker room situation. But it doesn't even matter. Whoever's showing production should be on the field, not the guy. If you ain't putting up, then you need to be on the sideline. And that's going to make guys play better at the end of the day if they really care about being a starter.
Man, I agree. You know, if the way I look at it, everybody should be vulnerable. You know what I mean? That if you are not playing up to par, if a guy's practiced better than you that week, or he's showing more consistency than you that week, then you should be, you know, hey, maybe this guy needs to get the start. Maybe this guy needs to be the one that gets the look. So I agree that, you know, especially with the Vincent Smith thing, because he's failed to show anything. But yet for some reason this guy has consistently been allowed to be on the roster, to be able to participate in not really, again, catch passes. I know what's his name tried to go from that one where he ended up having a turnover. And then but a guy like Duke who's actually produced, a guy like Duke who has actually shown that he is able to, you know, create something. I mean, to be relevant. I mean, to get on the stat sheet without, not in a negative way. I mean, I feel like you gotta let these guys know that nobody's secure. Nobody's in position. Nobody is safe, especially when you're going 0-3 and you're not, you know what I mean? Again, you got nobody really standing out, nobody really doing anything special. Everybody's available. Everybody's job is available. So I think that we have to look at a situation and make guys work for their positions. Nobody should be feeling like they are a lock. I don't care how long they've been here. I don't care if they've got veteran status. I don't care about any of that. If you're not showing form game to game, then you should not be guaranteed that you are going to see significant playing time. I mean, sometimes you got to change the pace. You need to change the pace to see what's really going on with that. But on the next one, so I really want to get an opinion on this. So we've been talking about how the Texans have been struggling. Every game has been close. It's been, you know, a few points here, a few points there. On average, we're losing games by about 5 points a game, which is a score, a little less than a score. And so even though it's as bad as it is because it's that big 0 in the win column, you can always parlay the fact that it's not as bad as it is. You know, I hate to use that, you know, the phrase that we've been using for so long, the patented, trademarked Bill O'Brien. We're so close. We're so close, you know, because we're tired of being so close. I mean, what is there, like a force field on being there? Because, I mean, we just right there on outside the brink. We just can't quite get close enough. But my thing is this, man. What is the real situation in this city when the Texans end up starting off 0-4? If the Texans end up starting off 0-4, sorry, because we're not going to put that on them. We're going to hope, we're going to pray, or whatever you believe in, that the Texans succeed. But I mean, it's hard to get excited. It's hard to believe that they're going to come through when we've got our hopes up against teams like the Titans, who had no quarterback. Even a broke arm, noodle arm Luck is better than what the Titans put out on the field, and they were still able to get the win. Even a Eli Manning, and again, Eli was, 0-2, wasn't really looking that great prior to, but he was able to come in and only had 4 incompletions, I think, that whole game against this defense that we thought was going to be great. I mean, the Texans are disappointing. You have a player here and a player there that look good, but they're disappointing. But if the Texans go 0-4, what happens in this city, man? What is the feeling in this city? I know it's already bad, and we're already calling for Bill O'Brien's head, but what happens on Monday morning if the Texans end up losing today? We'll start with Wise.
I would hope we will start hearing some changes in the front office, man. They got to call for Bill O'Brien's job. They need to give somebody else an opportunity. They need to call in an offensive coordinator or something. If we see this offense starting off slow again, somebody need to be hired. We need to start making moves. We need to start making roster moves. I mean, this is stuff we've been calling for all preseason, all the stuff we've been calling for training camp. But this team seems to fail to be doing that. I mean, when it comes down to picking up guys, I mean, I don't like what I'm saying. Vincent Smith is inactive this game. You know, all the receivers are dealing with injuries. Why wouldn't you go pick up a Rashard Matthews after he's a free agent? Why wouldn't you go pick up a Dez Bryant? Why wouldn't you go pick up one of those guys? I don't like at this point. I don't see how Dez Bryant can be a cancer to this locker room. So I don't even want to hear that as an excuse anymore, because at least he's passionate about winning. At least he's going to go out there and try and give it his all. And we know that from Dez Bryant. That's one thing he always did with the Cowboys. And obviously, once he left the Cowboys, look at their offense now. They can't even move the ball. I mean, it's just going to be a sad day in Houston. You're going to hear guys on the radio calling out for Bill O'Brien's job. You're going to hear fans calling for Bill O'Brien's job. I don't know. I don't think the Texans will do anything, though. I think they're going to stand pat and they're just going to keep riding the same old thing throughout the whole season. So I would not be surprised if Bill O'Brien stays the head coach for the regular season. Like I said, he'll still be the head coach if we're 1-15.
And that's unfortunate, man, because it just feels like this team, as this city, has accepted mediocrity on another level. Real quick, because I forgot to catch this earlier. Shout out to Chandler holding down the sauce. Said shout out to Honcho and Wise. And we got a couple other texts we'll read after this. Oh man, and no, Jay, I didn't get a chance to watch it, but I will check it out and I will discuss it in the post game. So I did miss that. I apologize for that. But Wink, your thoughts? If the Texans go on forward, what's the situation with this city?
There's going to be a lot of people who are going to be on the bandwagon of, you know, the front office changes, and, you know, Bill O'Brien needs to do this and do that, and they're going to be calling for his head. But we've been saying this shit for months ago. He didn't deserve a contract extension off of the seasons that he had been having. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he gets to the play, you know, he was winning against a weak-ass AFC South. You know what I'm saying? With 9-7 records, people love to pump him up and act like he did so much with these quarterbacks, but yet they've gone on to excel and be better elsewhere than they ever were in the Houston Texans jersey. So it's really going to be a matter of looking yourself on Monday morning to come find out, man, I just don't have what it takes with this organization. Maybe I need a fresh start, because I don't want to hear no excuses. Nobody needs to look at no post game. Nobody needs to look at no post-game interviews from this dude, because he's going to say the same shit. He's going to just react again, on top of the way that this team can end up losing. It's an Indianapolis, and we have not played well. We won 2 games there, our whole 17 years. So I said we was going to split this game originally. This was one of my original losses, you know, and I mean, it just looks like they're going to end up finding a way, you know, the game plan and out-coach Bill O'Brien. Hopefully, Bill O'Brien can just take his hands off of the wheel and just coach the game. You know, let Sean Ryan do what he has to do. Let Deshaun Watson take over, you know what I'm saying, and do what he needs to do to get done. Get him into some rhythm passes. Get the run game going. You know what I'm saying? And make sure the dudes are involved. There's nothing else going and saying who should do what and do what this game, because everybody will end up seeing it. It'll come to fruition once again, and some way, shape, or form, it's either he's passing good, he's gonna get away from that, he's gonna want to run. He's running good, but then he wants to pass when he doesn't need to. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see, man. I mean, I want this team to win. It's nothing more than I want than them to win today. But if they can do that, then we're going to talk when the game is over. Regardless of how it is, if it's going to be ugly, it's going to be. But they need to win regardless. Clowney needs to come through today, you know what I'm saying, and do what he does best, man. That's getting to the quarterback stuff in the run, you know, and necessary things like that. You know, everybody needs to play, and Duke Ejiofor needs to play. There's no reason. I'm going to get on, because I'm honestly, if we lose this game, I'm really going to get on Romeo Cannell, because he hasn't done well this year. And a lot of schemes and a lot of things that everybody sees that we should be be able to run with the talent that we have on our team as it stands right now is not being put out the right way. So that's my take on it.
All right. So a couple of comments. I see some folks saying some things, and we got a couple of texts coming in I want to address. And I think Jay Dizzle made a real good point on the text that he just sent in, and he says that he wants it to be a blowout either way it goes. And he was saying that, to be honest, I hope this game is a blowout either way, because if we lose big, that should get the front office in gear for some staffing changes. And if we win big, that means that Bill O'Brien finally figured something out. But if it's a close game either way, we're still mired in the mediocre limbo. And I agree with that exactly, because like I say, we've been on that brink, haven't really crossed over that threshold. But if we barely cross over that threshold, I feel like we're in the same position. So I definitely agree with what you said on that one, Jay Dizzle. That was a perfect point. This one says, should the offense play desperate, throw the whole playbook at the Colts? I mean, at this point in time, you really are in a situation where you don't have too much of a choice. You got to do something. You have to show that these players, that you're willing to do whatever it takes to win. You have to show these fans that you're actually in this. And Bill O'Brien has to show that he's not in step with this organization, who is just acceptance who accept mediocrity, who only want the butts in the seats. They don't really care about if it's wins or losses. So they're not really tripping. They're not looking for a new coach or anything like that. Again, that's why I say I agree with Wise when he said that, no matter what happens, we go 1-15. Guess what? Bill O'Brien will still be your coach. Because to their front office, it's about, hey, can we keep fans in seats? Can we put enough promotion out there to make sure people keep coming to the games, keep spending money? Cool, we got that. All right, well, let Bill do whatever the fuck he's doing. We don't know. We don't care, Are the seats still full? All right, cool. But once those numbers start dropping, then they'll start pitching, okay, well, maybe we need to do a little something. We've been losing a couple of seasons in a row. Now we're starting to lose money. Let's pay attention. But until that starts to happen, not so much. And I agree, Unique Fast. At least there's still the Astros. They're setting records, 103 wins. Shout out to the Astros, franchise record. Something in this city is keeping us happy. The Rockets at least are still trying to make big moves. When you got names out there like Le'Veon on the block, you got Earl Thomas on the block. And I'm not saying necessarily go after Earl, because I think we're all right in the safety position. We got a young guy that we're working on, and we got Honey Badger for now. You got Hal trying to come back. I think they said as soon as he come back, it's like November or something like that. I'm not too concerned with that. Kareem Jackson playing well at the position, so I'm not worried about Earl Thomas. But I mean, I think that you have leverage. I think that we mentioned earlier, with Clowney, if he doesn't show up this game, this is game 4, this is a month. I saw somebody say, why not give him the same amount of time that Watt has had to come back? I think you're in the same boat. I think they both kind of had the same amount of time to really come back. And I'm not expected to come out and get 3 or 4 sacks a game, but what he does best, in my opinion, is not get sacks. Is more so the tackles for loss. That's what he's best at. That's where he thrives. And so that's what I want to see from him. I'm not like, again, people don't they like the term sacks, but they're not realizing that a tackle for a loss is just as good as any sack you don't get. Matter of fact, the way that this league is playing, I don't even want motherfuckers touching the quarterbacks. I'd rather fucking tackle for loss so they can't come with the bullshit ass calls they've been coming with. But it is what it is. So let's talk about something that people have been discussing. Something that we kind of mentioned early on in the season. It's been a while since the guy's been around, or Billy the first time that he's been around, and unfortunately Spitz isn't here to represent for him to try to defend this man. We know what happens when you talk about a Texas Tech product. We're talking about Keke. A lot of people want to know what we think, what's going to happen with Keke. Is Keke going to be a factor? Is he going to be valid? I think, honestly, personally, from my perspective, that they're going to try to leverage Keke. I think they may end up leaning on him a little bit tough, but because with Ellington out, I think it opens up that void as far as a slot. Ellington's going to be out for a while, so they're going to start depending heavily on this guy. They talked all the rumors about him being having great hands in camp and everything like that. But my biggest concern, again, is they talk about, him being able to read defenses, and this Bill O'Brien offense, this whole complicated shit show is predicated on the defense. And so the receiver runs a route based on how he's getting defended. And if the guy can't read defense, if he can't tell if a man is in zone or he's manned up or what kind of defense they're running out there or what he has going on, it's going to be – he's going to run the wrong route. I mean, that's just what's going to happen because, Bill O'Brien likes to complicate shit and muddle it up, especially with a young guy coming out of college. I think it's going to be a little complicated for him. So I don't know. Maybe he's had plenty of time to study, excuse me, as he's been off the field. But it's going to be interesting. I feel like he will see some significant time for all the hype that's been around him. But I don't know how much of a major contribution he's going to be. I expect him to catch maybe 4, maybe 5 passing. I think that's significant, but I'm not expecting too much more than maybe 30 to 40 yards. I'm not expecting like a big breakout play. Hopefully I'm wrong. They talk about how dynamic he is and the things he's been doing in practice. I'll kind of stay with my expectations kind of low, so hopefully that he can surprise. Maybe he can be that shining light that this team is needed. Wise, your thoughts, man, on Lil Keke Kuti. They're trying to give him nicknames. You got to earn a nickname around here. You can't just have a nickname. You got to earn it first. Your thoughts on Keke, man, and what he can bring to this team if he's healthy and the hammy's ready to go today.
I mean, if he's 100%, then I can expect him to make a few catches today, maybe get 50 yards receiving, but I wouldn't really expect something big from him because he's coming off an injury. He hasn't had the practice reps. He hasn't had all the game time reps, and especially transitioning from college football to the NFL, that's tough. It is some guys that just step in. We've seen Will Fuller come in with his first game in an NFL season and have 2 back-to-back 100-yard games. But he did have preseason time. He did have preseason experience and things like that. Against this close secondary, I can expect this guy to get wide open a lot. So I expect Deshaun Watson to maybe give him a few targets. But what I've seen for the first 3 weeks, we did not really target Bruce Ellington as much as we did last season. So I don't know if the Texans paid attention to that in film study this week, and hopefully they take advantage of that because usually this guy's going against a nickel corner or a dime corner, and also he can be going against linebackers and safety. So he should always win those type of matchups.
He should.
Now, when it comes to Bruce, do you think that had to do with that first game where he had a significant number of drops? Do you think that could play in a factor of it? I mean, how do you feel about that?
I really don't know, man. If a guy is open, you should get the ball to him no matter what. But we seen what he did last season. Maybe he started off with a few drops this season. But if a guy's wide open, there's no excuse not to throw him the ball.
Absolutely.
I'll put that on Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, if you're gonna put him on the field, you got to use him. I mean, if he's considered a weapon, if he's on this roster, you got to use him. Shout out to Asheville, man. Sorry about the soccer game, but I appreciate you showing some super saucy, super chat love, man. Hopefully the Texans get it right, man. Like we need them to get it right because it's dark days. I mean, it's been raining a lot around the city, but goddamn, it's been dark days since these goddamn Houston Texans, man. But Wink, your thoughts, man. Keke, does Keke count? What can he bring to the table for the Texans today?
It's gonna be rough to say, man. Rookie wide receivers have not excelled under Bill O'Brien whatsoever. With the exception of Will Fuller, no other wide receiver has performed at even a mediocre level. Jalen Strong didn't get a chance to really prove, his work with this football team, but that is what it is. Keke does have the speed. He possesses some good hands, good short intermediate routes. You know what I'm saying? He occasionally can get you on deep routes and things like that. So, honestly, I don't think him being on the field is really going to be a problem. The only thing for him that I could even see being a challenge is, the coverages and, him not knowing where to be lined up and having mental mistakes. I don't really see the physical mistakes on the field. Deshaun Watson knows how to throw you open. He can lead passes, and he can do what Bruce Ellington has done for us, since he's been here, and that's get catches in short yardage situations and go for like 30, 40 yards. He should be able to do that. He has more speed, and the tight ends. If he has the help of the tight ends in the running game, I see no reason why he shouldn't have a 60, 70-yard game with about 5 or 6 catches. You know what I'm saying? And the only reason why I'm saying about 60 or 70 is just if he gets a big play, he does happen to get like a slant or a curl or something like that, and he ends up, breaking, getting open in space, that he can get, a big chunk play. And if he can get like 10, 15 yards at a time, that can equal up pretty fast. But Will Fuller's going to be the problem today. Will Fuller with what DeAndre Hopkins is able to do, I don't really see anybody corner-wise being able to contend with either of them. But it's all about the game plan. Because I've been watching this team, they have been playing tough as fuck these last few weeks, man. They are not going down easy. They have a totally different mind frame. Chuck Pagano was not giving them the juice that they got right now, playing this season. So if they exploit the matchups and if if he's paired up with safeties and and linebackers, I mean that's your look right there. You know what I'm saying? That's pre-snap. If you see that, if you identify that, go ahead and check that off the bucket list so you can go ahead and get touchdowns, man. And the biggest thing today, Deshaun Watson is gonna have to capitalize in the red zone. Ain't no way around it.
Hopefully, we don't see those screens again, man. If you do run a screen, then I would like to see Will Fuller or Keke do it, not DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
Hopkins don't have the breakout.
I wouldn't even mind Lamar Miller getting his screens in because he needs to be added in the game, especially in the passing game. Again, I'm gonna say it every week until they actually do it and until they actually start listening or somebody puts the bug in their ear. To get him on wheel routes, get him on streaks, get him on angle routes, get him on flat concepts. You need to do these things in order to win the game. If you're not maximizing your potential on the field, what good are you doing the organization, the fan base, and this team? It makes absolutely no sense. But I think Keke can make he can be a decent factor today because he possesses a similar skill set, if not more physical skills than Bruce Ellington. So he could have a decent game, and the reason why he can have a pretty good game is because they're not going to be able to punt the game plan for him. They're going to be like, man, who the fuck is this? Unless they knew who he was or they followed his tape, it's going to be like, man, who is this dude? And if he does something early on, they're going to do something in the second half to try to key in on him to take him out of the game.
Yep.
See some of y'all saying some shit, and I'm hoping that's fake news. I have to look. I tried to lay off my manhunt. I told you if I seen somebody that looked like Kendall Lamb in these streets, he was going to get that work. Y'all over there talking about they got Kendall Lamb starting the right tackle. If that's the truth, that's the worst news I've heard all year long. Because if that's the case, then they just really don't give a fuck about. They truly, honestly, do not give a shit about Deshaun Watson. They just trying to wear him out.
Right tackle, that was over an hour ago. I'd have to ask David Pritchard if he's in here. You know what I'm saying? And I seen them in the chat. They were talking about it. I'm not sure. I haven't seen anything or I haven't heard anything or any changes. So if it is a change, we got to look that up to find out.
They just released the depth chart.
Depth chart.
Yeah.
Let me see something because depth chart.
It's the same. It's the same.
Okay.
Who's starting on the line?
It's just Pat D Stat just said it's the same old line, but Pat D Stat just said don't be surprised if you see Kendall Lamb getting work over Jaheim Davenport today.
Well, that means the game is over with. If Kendall Lamb is getting any shine, well, there's that. Well, the game is over. But I want to talk about some other shit though. DeAndre Hopkins, and this is a guy who's pretty much an Iron Man. He's always put in work. I think that he's missed maybe a game, and I think that was just because it was worthless at that point. He had already solidified his position where he needed to be. He was almost unlikely to play today. He has a couple of injuries. I think it's hamstring, thumb, and I want to say a toe injury, something like that. I want to figure out, what is that going to parlay into? Will that be a situation? Because we know that, Watson definitely loves him. That's one of his favorite targets. Will gets the big yards, but DeAndre keeps things flowing. With D-Hop possibly having a little bit of an injury, being a little bit sluggish, ultimately, how does that impact the way that this offense flows, and will that lead to, maybe Keke getting a little bit more love? We'll start with Wink on that thought, and then we'll go to Wise.
I see him fighting through it, man. I see him fighting through it. I don't see him getting in any situation. There's one thing I love about Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson does not throw you into harm's way. He does not do that. So if this was Tom Savage, or T.J. Yates or somebody like that, just trying to make a play, and they're throwing in the double and triple cup, that's totally different. It's totally different. But I don't really see him. I see him getting in and on routes. They're gonna have to just adjust. Don't have him going on deep routes. Probably a deep dig, like a 20-yard dig or something like that. That's about as much as you need. If he just butt naked, wide open on a post or a 9 route, you know what I'm saying? A slant go or something like that, then that's different. But if you don't need to go to him, to make sure that his body is right throughout this game, just minimize and shorten the route concept. You do that, and you need to do that anyway, just so you can get Deshaun Watson in the rhythm so that you can break for some big games. But outside of that, I think he'll end up making an impact in the game, and he'll end up finishing out this game unscathed.
Wise, your thoughts, man, with the Hopkins situation, him being maybe quite possibly a little hobbled. Do you think that's going to affect the game plan going into this game? Well, shit, we don't even know what the game plan is going into this game. But do you think that will affect, the way that the Texans play, generally how Watson will be able to utilize Hop, maybe Fuller and, some of these other guys? What kind of effect do you think that will have?
I don't see it being an effect because DeAndre Hopkins is a dog. I mean, he's played through injuries in the past. He's played through all these quarterbacks. He's never had nothing like that phase him in his career. I mean, he went through the Osweiler season, and that was a terrible season. He couldn't even get the man the ball. He couldn't even throw the man the ball. So if he can get through a situation like that, I don't see why it should be a problem with him getting through a situation like this today. However, I would like the Texans to line him up at the slot receiver sometimes, move him inside, let him go against those linebackers in his own coverage and things like that, because DeAndre Hopkins can eat on those type of routes, man. And it's sad that we just keep lining him outside. You're not using it like Wink said. You got to use guys to their max capabilities. If you're not doing that and you're not using your full roster to his capabilities, then of course you're not winning no games. You're not putting up the points, and that's what I'm saying. Like, we ain't seen the stuff we seen last year from the Texans offense. We ain't seen the run play, pass option. We ain't seeing none of those things. So hopefully they looked at last year's film or looked at some of the things they did last year and see what was working last year and comparing it to this year and go back to some of the things they did last year, because obviously it was working, because they were leading the NFL in the offense and they was averaging 35 points a game.
Right. Bill O'Brien acts like what he did last year was a finished product. You only got, honestly, if we being real, from the New England game on back, so New England, Tennessee, Kansas City, the Browns game, and the what's it called game was the only game where you had a new game plan. You could pretty much say you could throw away the Kansas City. I mean, you could throw away the Cincinnati game because that was a short week. You didn't have any time to really implement a game plan that was going to be the same. So that was more of the same type of things that you were doing in the offense we're doing now and your previous offenses. From that New England game on back, you started putting in things that Deshaun Watson was able to flourish upon. And because it wasn't a finished product, you had no reason to get away from that game plan when it kept everybody on their toes. Nobody knew what the hell was going to happen. Yeah, coverage is breaking down, but Deshaun Watson is able to make shit happen regardless. The man wants to win. He's going to show us today that he wants to win, and hopefully he pulls it out.
Man, from what I'm seeing, and I'm seeing what they're saying in the chat, it looks like signs are pointing to Lamb being the starting right tackle. I've seen several sources saying that him and Rankins, I believe, are getting the first looks on the line. And my thing is, what's the deal? I mean, I could look at it one of two ways, because and we've honestly yet to really even talk about the Colts. Haven't quite had the time. But here's the thing, too, while we get on this next topic, I want y'all to drop your mark my motherfucking words. And if you don't know what mark my motherfucking words is, that means you have to make a bold prediction, not some old rinky-dink prediction. I think Lamar Miller's going to rush for 30 yards, and I think Deshaun's going to throw a touchdown. It got to be something bold. It has to be something that's almost unlikely or on the brink of likelihood to happen. So put those mark my motherfucking words. I'll try to jot those down while we discuss this next topic. The Colts, and we talked about noodle arm Luck. We've talked about what they bring. Wise mentioned that, their Costanza being out, which is their best lineman, who Clowney should be lining up against. So if Clowney doesn't eat this game, I think you start entertaining some things. And it kind of leads me to this conversation or this question that Jay Dizzle has said, and that's, how about this trade? We trade with Pittsburgh, Clowney, Lamar Miller, and one of our seconds, because I think we have two, for Le'Veon, TJ to replace Clowney in their 4th round pick. We're brothers. They're happy and they're singing their colors. I know that sounds good. I think they like TJ a lot. And to me, honestly, I don't know how he's performed. Honestly, I haven't paid attention to see how he's performed this year, but I know that he's been pretty consistent for them since he's gotten there, since day one. I feel like they would think that they would be losing a little something. I think they would probably be feeling like they got a drop off with getting Clowney, because Clowney has yet to produce anything this year. And so, this is a what have you done for me lately league, especially the way the Texans, how they handled him early on as far as treating that injury, which honestly, the more I think about it, I have no problem with it. because, again, I just look at game 2. Like, how the hell was he already out game 2, with all this other stuff? But, it is what it is. And so I don't know if they would be willing to come off that. But if they were willing to accept it, I'd almost say, but I have no problem with Lamar, because who's to say that Le'Veon comes in and gets utilized the right way? Because, again, when you talk about starting Kendall Lamb, goddamn, you putting everybody in a bad position. But the fucked up thing about it is, because somebody made a good point, is that Kendall Lamb, if you take all of our other offensive tackles combined, Kendall Lamb has more NFL experience than all of those guys combined. And he don't got no NFL experience. So that's the sad part about it. But again, with the Davenport situation, you got to look at all the penalties he's had. And even though Lamb may get his ass whooped, he's not going to give you as many penalties as the Davenport situation. But ideally, to me, what you should have done is moved Davenport back to left tackle, move fucking Rankin to right tackle. If you guys just have so much faith in this guy, prove that he can play tackle first. You know what I mean? Because that's my problem. Prove that he can play tackle first, then we start entertaining him on the blind side. But again, because to me, although Davenport's penalties have been bad, what's been worse is just how Rankin has been getting done as a tackle. So that's the awful part about it. So Wise, man, I want to know your thoughts about this whole starting offensive line situation. It's a whole bunch of tomfoolery going on right now. Just kind of on that whole situation. Davenport, Rankin, the Lamb start. I just want to kind of know your whole spiel on that. How is that going to look for the Colts defense against that line? And then we'll get Wink's thoughts on that after you.
Expect the Colts to eat. Expect the Colts to bring that pass rush. Expect the Colts to bring blitzes. This guy Martinez Rankin is terrible at left tackle. I don't know what the Texans are looking at. I don't know if they're watching film, but this guy's not even getting a punch on the defensive ends or the outside linebackers, man. Guys are just running past him, beating him off the line. He's not getting a good kick back. It's just terrible. He doesn't have a good kick step. If anybody I want to see at left tackle is Julian Davenport, even though he did have the false start penalties. We've seen what he can do at left tackle. He's had the experience in this offense, but a guy like Martinez Rankin is the first guy that should be off the books. And with the whole rookie situation, like I said, you playing rookies that don't deserve to be playing. But you want to play guys that deserve to be you don't want to play guys that deserve to be playing, and Duke Ellington and Eric Reed that deserve more time more defensive snaps on this team. So it just confuses me. I know they said Kendall Lamb's been improved, but he doesn't impress me. Expect some holding calls from Kendall Lamb. You're going to hear about 2 or 3 of those today. And, like I said, they're going to kill my boy Deshaun Watson once again, and it's sad.
Mark my motherfucking words, man. The Texans will have 13 penalties for 120 yards. There's going to be something crazy. It's going to be as far as the Colts go, I agree with everything that Wise just said, man. Expect a lot of stunts. Expect a lot of twists. Expect a lot of exotic shit up front. 5 blitzes. Expect safeties coming down. They coming, man. They are not going to free up. If they're going to show early on, and if Andrew Luck throws some passes and he happens to get if he happens to find T.Y. Hilton, which he has done against the Texans for multiple years, injury or not, the man knows how to find this man and get him into the end zone. Maybe will he be throwing 50, 60-yard passes? No, he can throw a 30-yard pass, and T.Y. can do the rest. He's shown that ability. You know what I'm saying? Of any team that he has over 1,000-something yards and 9 touchdowns against the Texans over his last 7 or 8 games that he's played against us. So they got some guys over there. A guy like Eric Ebron will probably end up being real sneaky this game. And the reason why I say that is because you don't have any linebacker in coverage who will be playing today who can contend with him. That went out of the window when Dylan Cole went out. The fact that they're going to end up doing something on defense, like putting Zach Cunningham on him, I'm just not – he hasn't reached the level of being comfortable. He's going to have to start doing that probably the back end of the season once the defense starts peaking. You can't – right now, you can't sacrifice anything, and if you want to play, in a nickel situation, and you want to bring anybody up, bring Justin Reed up. Let Kareem play in that nickel linebacker spot, and let him roam around with the tight end or something like that. Because right now we don't have anybody who's going to be able to contest or contend with any of these. And I'm not gonna lie, a guy like Nyheim Hines, can get off against this team today. He can get off against this team today. Guys like Marlon Mack, man, they can get off against this team today if they are not stout in the middle and they are not protecting the edges. If they are not doing that, expect them to have like 125 yards on the ground and expect them to have like 320 yards passing if the defense is breaking down. That's just what I see. That's just the bad portion. But if the Texans get it right, it's going to end up being a close game. I don't see us blowing this team out whatsoever.
Marlon Mack not playing today, but
he's
Jordan
not?
Wilkins, no. But okay. They got a rookie in Jordan Wilkins that my friend, he's a real good Colts fan, and he said, watch out for Jordan Wilkins. This guy's
the DN?
No, the running back. Darius Leonard is the defense.
Yeah. I know about Darius Leonard. Yeah.
Here's the deal, man. I'm trying to catch up on some of these mark my words and all these things, and almost got them all in order. But I'm just being honest. It's difficult. Like I'm gonna go out on a limb and just do something I don't want to do. But first, make sure y'all slide by StaySaucy.com. Check out some of that fresh sauce merch because y'all don't want to buy no Texans merch right now. The Texans ain't giving y'all what y'all want. The sauce going to continue to give you what you want. So self-support the sauce. We'll get you some of that Stay Saucy merch. Shout out to everybody who has been copying some of the merch. Y'all look extremely fresh in that. And we got some stuff coming very soon to those of you who ordered the latest shirt. So as soon as that is ready, trust me, that will be on your doorstep. But looking at this Texans versus Colts matchup, I think I'm going to go out on a limb, and I think it's going to be the last time I step out on this limb because this limb is extremely flimsy. I mean, I'm looking back at the tree where this branch is rooted, or not rooted because I guess that would be the bottom, but it's cracked. You know what I'm saying? It's flimsy. You know what I'm saying? It's like the fucking cartoons when the fucking rock cracking is about to break and you finna fall into that pit like Wile E. Coyote. I'm going to go stand on the edge of this rock one more time, man, just because I want to have faith that this team is not the definition of ineptitude. I want to believe that this is not, when you look up in Webster's dictionary, and I'm not talking about Kayvon Webster's dictionary, I'm talking about Webster's dictionary, you go and you look up the of lackluster, you look up, ineptitude, you look up trash, and you don't see a fucking Texans logo. And then you don't see a quote by Bill O'Brien saying, I don't know what to do next to it. I'm going to say that this team, and maybe not so much because of the offense, maybe not so much because of I have no faith with Kendall Lamb starting. I feel like we've hit rock bottom because there's a reason he hadn't started up until this point. There's a reason he hasn't seen playing time up until this point. It's going to be real hell for Deshaun Watson today. It's going to be real bad. But I'm going to pick these goddamn Texans because I say the defense is finally going to get it all the fuck together. I feel like Honey Badger is going to have an opportunity to show why he came here. And I feel it's sad that we only have one pick up to this point. I feel like Kareem Jackson's going to come out, he's going to hit. I think he's going to get a forced fumble. I think Honey Badger gets an interception. I feel like Watt, he had a taste of the good life last game, and so he's going to kind of want some more of that. I feel like he's going to come and he's going to show up and pull up. I think he's going to come back with that. And then I feel like we have situation with Clowney. I think that he's talked a lot like Wise has said. He's been speaking into the people. He's speaking to the public. I feel like he goes out and he gets a little shine. I think he gets him a sack. I think he gets him 2 TFLs. I think this defense is what keeps this team in the game today. I think they put the offense in great field position. It may rely more on Kaimi than Deshaun, and I hate for that to have to happen again, but that may be the case with the way this line looks so porous. I'm going to say that the Texans win this game, man. I'm going to say the Texans win this game 24-17. I know the odds are against us. We don't win in Indy, and we just don't have. The pieces are looking piss poor, but that's gonna be my prediction. Roundtable Wise, let's get your prediction. We'll get Wink's prediction on that one, and then we'll get ready to wrap it up. And make sure you in the chat dropping your prediction. I'm gonna get the rest of those mark my words, and then after we get those predictions, we'll get ready to wrap it up and get ready for the game, man.
For my mark my words, I want to say that the Texans defense is gonna have 2 turnovers because Andrew Luck struggles with interceptions. And for my prediction, I think the Texans going to lose a close one. Maybe 28-20. 28-24. Colts.
I got the Colts winning. I got the Colts winning. It's probably gonna be like 27-24 when it's all said and done. Mark my words. I see Honey Badger getting an interception, and I see Bernard McKinney getting 9 tackles and a forced fumble, and I see J.J. Watt getting 3 sacks today. He just played very well against his team, but that's my prediction as it stands right now.
Ultimately, Sauce Nation, Texans fans, some of y'all are new to this, man. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We do this every day, man. Every day at 7 o'clock, unless it's game day. And then, we go an hour ahead of game time. We will be ready. We will be live. Sauce Line will be open for your calls, thoughts, and opinions immediately after the game. So be it good, bad, we're not going to be fair weather. We might not be happy about what's going on. It might be hard to be excited. It may be hard to get overjoyed about what's taking place. But, we got to look at it like this. We got to look at it like this, man. The Texans are our team. We're just going to be honest about it. We're not going to sugarcoat it. We're going to give it to you real. Try to be positive, try to be realistic, or however it may be. But again, immediately after the game, Sauce Line will be open. We'll be waiting on your calls, thoughts. So make sure y'all ready, fired up. Hopefully we can have some good Sauce calls with a victory today. That's what I'm hoping for. That's what the Sauce Line has been depressing the last 3 weeks, man. Can we have 1 week, one good calls, man? What you got?
One of the most depressing things I saw yesterday was on Twitter, and I saw Debbie the Texan put out a tweet. And she was like, something like that. We don't need to do something. She was like, just cut the TV off or some shit like that. Something along the lines that she said. And I wrote a comment. I was like, man, you don't need to go out of your way and feel superstitious about anything. Let this team prove it on the field because we've been giving them everything. It's time for them to go ahead and give us a win and prove that they need to be taken seriously in this league. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy even when you got the most optimistic fans. And we all optimistic fans, regardless of how it's reflected in our tones when we talk about this team. We care about this damn team. We want this team to be good, but they have to do that on their own. There's no superstitious shit that I can do. It's nothing that I can say. It's nothing that it's nothing that the fans can do. All we can do is watch and support this football team. Hopefully they go ahead and they support us as well by getting the dub and doing what they need to do against Andrew Luck and company.
And with that being said, let me get the fuck up out of here. Actually got to go plug in the goddamn cable box. I don't never had that whole plugged in, so hopefully Comcast don't give me no shit. I forgot to do it before the game. But I appreciate y'all, man. Shout out to the roundtable. Shout out to Sauce Nation. Y'all got anything y'all want to say real quick for the game get going?
Man, hey, just stay tuned until after the game. If y'all tweet us during the game, and we gonna keep in contact the whole game. So just shout out to everybody, man. Make sure y'all share these videos, man, on Twitter because we need y'all help. We love y'all feedback.
Yeah, make sure y'all be through at the post game. We're gonna be back live answering y'all questions. Y'all make sure to call in on the Sauce Line. Hopefully the Texans get a win. Even though I predicted them to lose, I want to see them win the game. But I'm just going based off of what I've seen in the past 3 weeks. So, y'all, hopefully we're not depressed today. Hopefully it's a good Sunday. Hopefully we can eat some soul food and go with it.
I'm finna get ready to hit the Buffalo Wild Wings. My damn self go catch this damn game because I don't feel like watching it on stream today. That shit was fucking up on me last week.
Man, watching Lost on the stream is the worst because you really be anticipating like that comeback and shit, and you just really delayed behind. That shit is the worst. So I got. Man, make sure y'all follow, man, South Sports HTX on Instagram and Twitter, man. We'll be tweeting during the game and shit like that. Hey, whatever y'all want to talk about, we're gonna keep the conversation live. I know I ain't been on it as much as lately. I've been more into the Skype chat, but I'm gonna interact more with y'all. So if you follow on Twitter, man, your thoughts, comments, we'll be live during the game. I'm the fuck up out of here, man. Y'all the freshest motherfucking ingredients. I appreciate each and every one of y'all, man. Y'all be cool like y'all be cool, but most of all, stay saucy, and we out.